Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, really appreciate it. Shout out to all the subscribers. Big up to anybody new. Gratitude to you. I hope everyone is good. Let's talk about Benavidez versus Frank Martin. Also in this video, Benavidez versus Oleksander Gvozdyk. I'll leave the timestamps in the description box so you can just skip to that if that's what you're interested in. But let's start with Tank Davis versus Frank Martin. Very good fight. Good test for Tank, even harder test for Frank Martin. I think we can agree on that. This is a big step up for him. I think this is for Tank's WBA Lightweight title. Okay, so it's a shame that this fight is on the same night as the Subriel Matias Paro fight, but I guess, you know, it's a good problem for boxing to have, but it's a bit frustrating for fans because they're actually this card is stacked. The undercard for I got to double check the Matias undercard, but this card pretty stacked, you know. So but this fight's a good fight, and you know, I think Tank Davis, look, obviously an elite counter puncher, elite talent, elite skill, elite mind, and it's the IQ and the mind and his twitchy style that is going to probably be the difference here. And in fact, one thing that I think that is Tank's biggest asset, that is probably, you know, he's spoken about it a little bit, but let me just try to elaborate a bit on his patience and why I think it's so special, and his power. But because, you know, power in boxing is one of those mystique gifts that fighters have that they abuse, you know, that I've often referred to, like, you know, the Game of Thrones, not Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, you know, the Ring of Power. When people have power, you know, they don't know what to do with it. They get obsessed with it and they try to use it too much. I see the same thing in boxing. You know, power is given to a fighter and it's like they just try to either use it too much or they don't know how to use it. With Tank, he knows exactly how to use his power. He's very patient with it. And if you have a packed out audience, right, people are coming to see him knock somebody out. So you have that expectation. He's in there, there's millions of people watching, he's in there, thousands of people live, millions of people on pay-per-view, and he's still able to use that power at the right time, which I think is just an absolutely amazing skill. I really do. I think, to me, that's his biggest asset, personally. I know he's got a ton of skills, like his counter-punching ability, his hand-eye coordination, you know, just his ability to, you know, he's just an unbelievably skillful fighter. But it's his patience to be able to do these things, lose rounds. You know, he won't mind going down on the cards whilst he's, you know, downloading that data, as everybody says. But it's like that downloading the data always comes through. You know, it's like, it's so special when you can do that. He's waiting for your mistakes. He's waiting for the patterns. All right, pattern recognition is a big part of counter punching. Pattern recognition is, let's just say, on a basic level, fighters come in and they'll just do bop, bop, jab, 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 and they'll just do the same thing. It's easy for you to spot that, and then you can counter it. I'm not saying Frank Martin's going to do that. I'm just saying, and he can be countered as well. He can actually, I think he definitely will be countered. It's just how hard and how much will he make him pay. You make him miss and make him pay. But ultimately, I do think, you know, I think this fight, they're both southpaws. I think it could be a bit cagey at first, if I'm honest. The first maybe 5 or 6 rounds, you have Tank playing a bit of possum and just, you know, like I said, reading Frank Martin and just, you know, figuring him out and not trying to overcommit too much and you know, downloading that data. Then you got Frank Martin, who's probably just trying to get acclimated to the fight as well and not like overcommit too much and make too many mistakes. Like I said, you make a mistake against Tank, he's a bit like Canelo. He'll land an explosive shot on you that could end the fight. So I can see a very cagey start for sure. The thing with Frank Martin, very good fighter, and one thing that I noticed on him, I think probably a lot of people did, is how, just if you look at his eyes and how he sounds, he is like unbelievably self-belief. But against Rivera, right, as soon as I saw him in the face-off, if you look how intense his stare is, you're like, wow, that he's ready to go. He really believes in himself, and he puts himself in training camp to get that kind of energy, right? And as soon as I saw that against Rivera, I was like, man, that guy, Frank, he's not going to beat Martin, no way. and Martin pulled off probably a career best performance. You can't always tell, you know, a lot of times I can't tell. You think, you know, you might see something, but like, honestly, that time I saw it straight away. And that's going to be the same Martin that's going to show up, I think. He's not going to be intimidated. I think he's going to be ready for the occasion. I really do. He's just, you know, if you try and go attribute for attribute, run down the list of who's better at what, it's hard to give Frank Martin too many, you know, ups against Tank. He might be physically stronger. I don't think like every time I watch Frank Martin, he's always doing weights. You know, I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's been good up until now, but I think in a high pressure situation, big stage, big lights, millions of people, pay-per-view, all that stuff, as you get to the deep end of the fight, you know, I think his like his weight and his muscles might play a factor. I know Andre Ward spoke about that in the Anthony Yarde fight. Anthony Yarde stacked like heavyweight. Ward was talking about how, like, later on, I don't know what the science was exactly, but it's something to do with red blood cells filling up in the muscles, and it makes you really tired, and you know, you can gas a little bit later on. And you know, especially, like, depends on the fight tempo, depends what's going on. But if he's in a higher, even like a cagey chess match can take it out of you mentally, right? Because you're thinking so much, that can make you tired. And because Tank's so experienced and he's really good at doing that, you know, I can see Frank Martin gassing out late, and because of just his physicality and, just like I said, the occasion. I don't like the fact he's so chunky, but it hasn't really hindered him too much. He does overcommit in some punches, you know what I mean? He's a pretty good body puncher, Frank Martin himself. And I think he's going to have to press the fight against Tank to have any you know, success, really. I don't think he can sit there and box with Tank. I don't think he can counter punch a little bit. He's got pretty good skills, Frank Martin. He's actually, I think he's a little bit of an underrated counter puncher, actually. Good body puncher as well. You know, comes in shape, prepared, well trained, well schooled, believing in himself. He's going to be a good test for Tank. But, you know, ultimately the quality will shine through. And I think I can see Tank Davis taking over the fight, you know, mid to late rounds, really, you know, landing clean shots, counter punching. I don't know if he's gonna get him out of there. I do sense maybe a late stoppage, but I just don't know how cagey it's gonna be. I don't know how overcommitted, because I wonder if Tank's gonna get him tired and then start walking him down with that high guard, right? He can do that as well. Once he feels the power, Mayweather used to do the same thing. And you can counter punch on the front foot as well. So if he starts to do that, that could be a problem for Frank Martin, because you know when you are an elite counter puncher and you are basically you can see that window, you know. And then Frank Martin, if he does get tired, he's not going to be as sharp. Those heavy, bulky arms are going to weigh him down a little bit. He gets stung with one of them. What's his commitment going to be like then if he's getting sharply countered by Tank? You know, I do wonder. Given the occasion as well, like I mentioned, getting mentally drained by the whole situation. You know, that's what Tank does mentally as well, with the patience that I spoke about with his power and just sharply counter punching you. Sitting there boxing with you like a chess match can drain you mentally. And I just don't see Frank Martin winning this fight at all. But it's just, how's Tank going to win it? Is it going to be a fairly dominant performance, excluding the first few rounds where he's willing to give a few away and then slowly take the fight over from sharp counter punching? And then is he going to walk him down with a high guard and counter punch, hit him to the body as well, slow him down? I know Haraturiam, I think that's the guy's name, he landed some nice body shots on Frank Martin. Look, he's a strong physical guy, and that the weights that I talked about will have a benefit to him with regards to being strong and taking punches and being in shape mentally. But I think ultimately it will be a negative for a fight like this on the back end. And I do think Tank will probably get him out of there very late. Although I have lent to a points win for Tank as well. I think it will depend on Tank's commitment. and how much, you know, because Martin can punch as well, you know, so you're not just going to want to walk somebody down too much if they've got danger as well. But at the same time, like I said, I think Martin's ability to keep Tank off of him because of the, you know, the shape he'll be in the back end, because of how ripped he is. I think that could be a problem, you know. And then there's windows there. I think I can see a late stoppage, round 10 to 12 probably. But I was flirting with the points, you know, and then I look back at Tank's record and realize he's knocked everybody out except for Isaac Cruz and another guy. 27 knockouts in 29 fights. And like I said, he waits for that moment and he makes you pay. So I'm going to go Tank Davis on a KO 10 to 12. But I'm really not far behind on a points win. But that's, you know, a small little hedge bet there. But Tank Davis 10 to 12. Good performance, good fight. Frank Martin probably will do himself proud as well. And, you know, he'll put in a good performance. But I just can't see him being sharp enough, being skillful enough and experienced enough at this level, you know, to get a win against Tank. But listen, may the best man win, and I hope they both come out the ring healthy. That's all we can ask for. Now let's move on to David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, versus Oleksander Gvozdyk. Very tough fight. Gvozdyk is no joke. He is a tremendous fighter. And he's actually had a really interesting last few years, really, where obviously he lost to Benavidez in what you could argue was Benavidez's toughest fight. Probably was, you know. Outside of getting dropped and hurt by Callum Johnson, Benavidez was absolutely losing that fight, and Gvozdyk was not soundly, but outboxing Benavidez. And that's not easy to do. Benavidez is a very, well, I wouldn't say underrated. He's not anymore. People are realizing how good of a boxer Benavidez is, but at the time I don't think people realized how good Benavidez was, because he can box off the back foot, and his intelligence has gotten way smarter, you know. But Gvozdyk was beating him, you know, until Benavidez does what he does and grinds you down and he just beats you up. And I think it was the 11th he got him out of there, knocked him down a couple times and just brutalizes guys. But that actually, after that, was a worrying time for Gvozdyk. You know, I know he went straight to hospital. I know there was some concerns about how his health was, and he spoke about he was a little distraught, obviously, as you can imagine, because he beat the lineal champ Adonis Stevenson, and he put him in a coma, sadly. You know, I think he's recovered a little bit. I don't actually know how he's doing now, but I know he came out of the coma of Stevenson, and that's going to affect you mentally, right? So when you put those two together as a fighter, and you've done that to somebody, and then you've been brutalized yourself. I spoke about this I think I talked about this in the preview that I did when this fight first got announced. I mentioned something like that because it really resonated with me a little bit, where I was like, David Benavidez is not the fighter you want to be in there with when you're mentally or a little bit at odds with boxing, whether it be from a health perspective, because he's going to be on you. And, you know, David Benavidez is getting a lot better with his boxing ability. I've been so high on Benavidez for a while now. I think he's a tremendous fighter. Combination, fast, blistering punches, can counter punch as well. And that could be the difference in this fight. Benavidez has got a beautiful counter left hook. And obviously an amazing variety of punches. Tough man. He's got one head of a beard on him as well. And look, he's been trying to search out some boxing skills at Rigondeaux. He approached him with, you know, some lessons on how to cut the ring off and stuff like that. And I feel like he's probably going to use some of that against Gvozdyk. I can imagine he's probably going to just stay the same style and try to, you know, seek and destroy. I called it Spider's Web. He reminds me, I put him in the similar category of Subriel Matias, Beterbiev, David Benavidez. I made a video, I'll leave it at the end. It's a little 1 minute clip on the mentality or the philosophy. It's like once your starting point for them is in their spider's web, and they just walk you down and try and take you out, and there's no way out. But here's the thing, Gvozdyk is a solid light heavyweight, you know. with solid experience, 250 amateur fights, more than that, something like that. Only loss in the pros is to Artur Beterbiev. This is a very tough fight for Benavidez, probably his toughest to date. And I commend him for taking this, because this is a, as they say in the UK, a banana peel, meaning you could just walk down the street, step on a banana peel, slip up. It's like a slip up fight, basically, you know. So, but I do see Benavidez. He's getting better and better and better from his boxing skills. You know, the last fight against Andrade, great performance. Boxed, managed to, you know, not boxing, but he was landing some nice sharp counter shots, and he was pressing Andrade, and it was, you know, Andrade won a couple of rounds, but he was able to time him. You know, he was able to intelligently cut the ring off. He's cutting the ring off a little bit better, or he's getting to his opponents a little bit better. That was a major criticism of Benavidez. He's a little upright, but he's starting to kind of get his posture a little bit better, and just he looks like he's boxing like he looks like he looks like more of a fluid boxer. I'm not saying he's a fluid boxer. I'm just saying he was so upright and a bit rigid, but now he's spacing out. He's getting his stance is looking a bit better, is what I'm trying to say. That was a roundabout way of just saying just the improvements, and this is why I put him in that same category. I love fighters like him, Tim Tszyu, Matthias, Bud Crawford. They all try to get they look for those improvements. How can I get better? And you see it fight to fight, and that takes so much dedication. There's more fighters too. It's just these are the particular ones that, you know, I cover. Jaya Bataille as well, Dmitry Bivol. You know, there's just a certain great quality about a fighter that is able to do that, and the little things like searching out Rigondeaux to get your IQ up, to get your cutting the ring game off. Will he be able to do that against Gvozdyk? Gvozdyk's a southpaw, good on his feet, can punch a little bit too. This is a very tough fight for Benavidez. But I think, to be honest with you, I do think the difference could be, this is not the guy you want to fight, Benavidez, coming off of the mental lapses, I'd say, that Gvozdyk had. And, you know, he kind of capitulated against Beterbiev as well. I know he got stopped in the amateurs by Beterbiev as well. Was that playing a part? And then the post-fight then, after going to the hospital and all the I think that might play a part in this fight, you know. And as I said, Benavidez is not the guy you want to be in there with, because he doesn't leave you alone. He does not leave you alone. Can he grind Gvozdyk down? I mean, look, he can certainly match him at times. You know, with a bit of boxing, I expect Gvozdyk to outbox Benavidez for quite, well, a good chunk of it, you know, but then how long can he keep that up for? Because Benavidez, like I said, can counterpunch, but he's going to walk you down, he's going to get his shots off. And Gvozdyk's not going to be running for too long, because he's a massive guy. So that'll be very intriguing to see if he's actually going to get pushed back by Benavidez. Very interesting fight, this one. I really like it. I do think Benavidez will come out on top. I do think he'll probably ultimately get the back end of the fight under control and start to bully Gvozdyk a little bit. But, you know, question is for me, will Gvozdyk have those lapses again? Will he feel like he's in there again with somebody that's like not going to take a backward step like Benavidez? I'm not putting Benavidez in the same category as Beterbiev, but he's not that far behind him. And when you have somebody like him breathing down your neck, throwing hard shots, fast shots too. Benavidez has got seriously fast hands. And, you know, he's going from strength to strength. It's like, what's Gvozdyk's desire going to be on the back end? You know, is he going to shell up? Is he going to tie up? Is he going to want to, you know, excuse me, is he going to want to hold his punches a little bit? I don't think so. I think mentally Benavidez is far superior than Gvozdyk, to be honest with you. I know that's a stretch, because Gvozdyk really, in terms of how many fights he's had and stuff like that, and the only guy he's lost to is Beterbiev. It's just, I think Benavidez's mentality is right up there. He is a tough dude. And he comes prepared, he comes in shape, and he's getting better and better and better. And I can see Benavidez winning. I'm gonna say on the cards, but I just don't know what Gvozdyk's desire is gonna be on the back end. Will he capitulate, or will he just, like I said, just see his way through the fight without trying to win, is what I'm saying. because if you know how to wiggle your way through a fight with an experienced man like Gvozdyk, you can just get that and think, I don't really fancy this. I would see that kind of a fight with a Benavidez points win, because he's not easy to get rid of. Gvozdyk, he's an incredibly good boxer with experience, and he is tough, but the mental toughness for me, or will that kick in? Will the memories of Benavidez kick in? Will the memories of him knowing what can happen to boxers kick in? I think it might. And I think it'll either cost him to shell up a little bit, or perhaps maybe even quit. I don't know. But let me know your thoughts. This is a long video, so I will try to do my best to put footage in between. It's going to take a bit to edit. But thank you to anybody who watched the film study on the Matias fight. That took quite a bit of editing, so I've tried to catch up on some of these videos. So once I get past this, I've got a ton of videos coming. But I just appreciate anybody that's watched up until now. Really appreciate you guys. Peace and love to you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'm probably going to go live tomorrow, actually. Sneaky live, a little test run, and then I'll definitely go live for the Matias Paro fight. And then on Sunday, maybe I'll go live then to cover all the fights, and we'll see how it goes. But I'll definitely do videos for these fights, no doubt about it. But for now, that's it from me. Gratitude to you. Have a great weekend, all right? I'm out.
When you're fighting Subriel Matias, Artur Beterbiev, David Benavidez, you are in their spider's web. That's your starting point, and there's no way out.
Artur Beterbiev!
They are coming to seek and destroy you. Dismantle you.
The destructive, demolishing, human-wrecking ball of Artur Beterbiev!
Break you.
Oh, beautiful left hook!
Eat your heart. They don't let you breathe. Spider's web.